Albert Bandura and the Social Learning Theory. Albert Bandura is a Canadian-born American psychologist, born on December 4, 1925. He lived with his mother and father, who immigrated to Canada as young adults, and his 5 older siblings, and at the age of 93, he is still alive today. After graduating high school, Bandura attended the University of British Columbia. He later attended the University of Iowa and received a doctorate in clinical psychology in 1951. Bandura then became who he is today by creating the social cognitive learning theory. He broke observational learning down into 4 important components. 1. Attention. This means exactly what you think. The subject has to pay attention to the model to see what they're doing. For example, Sally must pay attention to the way Jason puts his toys away, so when it's time for Sally to do so, she'll remember. Retention. Retention is all about memorization. If the subject doesn't remember what the model did, there's no way they can replicate it later. Next is motor reproduction. This process is all about physically doing what the model did. You guessed it, it's time for Sally to put her own toys away. Lastly, but certainly not least, there's motivation. Without motivation, the other processes are kind of irrelevant. Why should the subject imitate the model's behavior without a reason? This motivation could be anything, even something negative. Bandura's theory has changed the way we learn today dramatically. Like Bandura once said, learning would be exceedingly laborious, not to mention hazardous, if people had to rely solely on the effects of their own actions to inform them what to do. Along with this, Albert Bandura created the bubble doll experiment. Here is a brief video about it all.
The segment you're about to see is taken from an early experiment on learning of aggressive styles of behavior through modeling. Children watched a filmed adult perform novel aggressive acts toward a inflated doll, and the physical aggression was accompanied by novel hostile remarks. We later measured how much of this modeled aggression the children had learned just by watching. Now, the measurement of learning of aggression uses simulated targets rather than live ones. For example, to test how well bombardiers have learned bombing strategies, you would use simulated targets rather than require them to bomb San Francisco or New York. The model pummeled a doll with a mallet, flung it in the air, kicked it repeatedly, threw it down and beat it. It was once widely believed that seeing others vent aggression would drain the viewer's aggressive drive. As you can see, exposure to aggressive modeling is hardly cathartic. Exposure to aggressive modeling increased attraction to guns, even though it was never modeled. guns had less appeal to children who had no exposure to the aggressive modeling. The children also picked up the novel hostile language.
This experiment shows that because of attention, retention, motor reproduction, and motivation, the children copied exactly what the adults did. Bandura's theory has changed the world today and can be seen everywhere, from billboards to commercial advertisements. These commercials suggest that drinking a certain beverage or buying a certain pair of sunglasses will make us popular with the admiration of attractive people. These advertisements use attention and motivation to persuade us to buy what is being advertised.